Welcome to the Breaking Uneven podcast. We love to talk shop, uncover the beauty of failures, and play a few games. Today, we have with us the co founder and CEO of Magic Billion, Aditi Banerjee. She completed her bachelor's in economics at Lady Shri Ram College and her master's in public policy and econometrics at the George Washington University. After graduating, she worked at multiple companies, including the World Bank and BCG, before starting Magic Billion in 2018. So, Aditi, I hope we've captured, the highlights of your journey so far. We'll get into it more, but
Yes, you did. Yes, thank you for that.
cool. So we're just going to play a quick little game to understand what you do a little more.
Okay,
Well, perfect. So we're
haven't
gonna
done this
play.
before.
We played the Twitter Pit Challenge. Twitter is known for its 280 character limit on every tweet, which sometimes makes
Oh
it
no.
a little difficult to convey your thoughts. It takes about 20 seconds to speak to 180 characters. So we transfer this challenge to you to explain to us Magic Billion in 20 seconds. But we won't make it easy. We also want you to use one emoji and one hashtag in your tweet. Any
Mm,
questions?
okay, okay. Interesting. Well, the fun fact here is that Magic Billion doesn't use Twitter, and neither am I active on Twitter. So this will be really fun.
Perfect. So
Okay,
when you're ready, let me know and I can start the stopwatch.
okay. Yeah, okay,
Okay,
let's start.
perfect. Three, two, one, go.
Magic Billion helps global employers find Indian talent. Um, Strength emoji. We've How many characters is that?
You can go. It's more about the time.
We have helped more than 50 employers with 2,000 Indians in the last 5 years. This emoji.
Hashtag.
Hashtag Indian youth. Hashtag world domination.
Amazing. It was over 20 seconds, but that was a good description of everything that Magic Billion is.
Advantage, or why do you think the US focuses more on practical versus India on theory? Were you able to gauge as to why that happens?
Yeah, so again, I mean, I will say that a lot of this is a bit dated because, that was over 17 years ago for me. But that being said, look, I think it's a function of just the way our countries are, and this would be more the West, the concept. So I would say even Europe, UK would be probably similar to the US in that sense, where it's a lot about the so what. You're learning something, but so what? Doing things with your hands, really getting into the dirty bits of everything from scratch. India is much more about doing things by the book and not asking too many questions, just go up, keep going up, doing the right thing. So I think there's a lot of like cultural aspects here. It's not a simple answer. It's a complex question that you asked with a complex answer.
When it comes to, for example, because you're taking India's talent and exporting it to the world, so as to say, have you seen any kind of friction when that happens? Even though they're ideally moving to a better work culture, but has there been some kind of friction when someone from here, goes abroad, starts working at a company in the US, and then they're like
Yeah.
not the right fit because of the work culture? Does that happen?
Yeah. So, it's important to define work culture. So, work culture could be working insane hours. Work culture could be not getting paid for those insane hours. Work culture could be having a really shitty boss, where you're working insane, but you're not liking the people you're working with. It could also be working on things which actually don't matter, but they're just being done because it's been done for ages and you have no idea why it's getting done. So, all of this is a sort of composite which makes work culture in my eyes. Yeah. So, I wouldn't say that the candidates we send out are working any fewer hours. I'm sure they're working in sort of middle and small and medium sized companies, which are very hardworking. They're all trying to sort of make it big and all of that. So I'm sure they're working long hours. It is the respect at work. It is, like you said, not getting shouted at work. It is being valued for what you're doing. It's getting the time off when you're working on the weekends. Like things like that definitely is a better experience. We have had one odd, you will always have outliers, where we then sort of get into talking with the employers. But I will say that the systems in place in these so-called Western countries is pretty strong. So, for example, when we have had these instances where candidates have come back to us to say, look, we're constantly working 12 hours every week overtime and not getting paid for it, and you bring it up with an employer, it immediately goes to the employer association and a big deal is made out of it and it's rectified right away. That would never happen in India. So
Yeah, in
that's what it
India, the
is.
first step itself wouldn't happen, which is someone coming back to you and saying, "Hey, this is what's happening." I mean,
Absolutely.
the buck stops right there itself.
But I guess coming back to Magic Billion and like the ethos behind it, um, currently, like in the last like couple of years and now for the next decade, I would say the growth in India is going to be massive. The so many startups coming up. A lot of people are like have like had some sort of an experience abroad but trying to build local, or overall I think people are recognizing a bit more about like the toxic work culture and are trying to like go towards more like towards the west. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think this is going to impact like the want of people to go abroad? Because I feel like a couple of years or like a couple of generations before, a lot of people wanted to move for a better lifestyle, better pay, better ability to have a richer life versus what they would have had in India. But I think
Yeah.
now there is a transition where a lot of people are trying to find that and are able to find that in India. So do you think how do you think that's going to impact people looking for opportunities outside of India?
Yeah. So let's identify two things. One is the kind of people we send out. We don't send the best of the best. For example, I wouldn't expect if you or Anuj were looking to go out. Uh, See, the way that we work is we're not a Naukri. So it's not like, you will apply and then if we have jobs matching, we'll just match it to you. That's not how it
Yeah.
works. We first bring in the global employer. Now, most global employers are looking for mass recruitment. Yeah, large number of guys working in mechatronics, large number of guys working in electronics, large set of welders, hospitality grads. It's sort of roles like that. So not people like you and me would not come to a Magic Billion. They would probably go to an Egon Zander or one of these very specialized firms. Yeah. So one is, let's identify that. Second is, we don't. It's not a situation of brain drain, because, like, again, coming to the same point, it's about those people, which is the majority of India, who would actually not rise to the super top in India because of competition, because perhaps they've not gone to the best schools in India, best colleges in India. So this is that crowd. Yeah. Now this crowd will always have it better in the West, because this is the crowd which is super hardworking. They are not the ones who are going to say, oh, it's 6 o'clock, I've got to go. This is not that crowd. This is the crowd which has to make it in life. They're coming from three-tier cities, Hoshiarpur and Hisar and these smaller towns, really wanting to make it and change the situation of their families in India. So this crowd will always make it in the countries where we send them, because in places like Europe, there's so much value for skill-based work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't see an impact on this crowd, which is actually 90% of India, in their movement out. And if anything, all that remittance will come back to India, which will further help in the growth of our country. Their siblings in India will go to better places, then
Yeah.
probably move out, come back. Parents will do better, spending capacity will go up. All of that will lead to the development in India. But I don't see sort of a transition based on all the growth that India is going to have.
The most basic standard of living, for example, in the UK or the US, is still well beyond what the most basic is in India, right? For example,
Correct.
after a certain tipping point, you might actually have a better standard of living in India just because of certain conveniences that you can afford. But I think when you go back to the absolute basics, it's much better in the West.
And like simple example, nurse. A nurse in India earns between 15,000 rupees and 35,000 rupees per month. Yeah. If you convert that, that's 350 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or let's say 400 euros. In Germany, the nurses we send out per pay parity earn 2,500 euros per month, 2.5 lakhs, and their expenses are probably 800 euros. So that entire set of money is savings. So there's value for work, is what I'm driving.